Awesome. Well, Mark, thanks for coming to chat with me. I appreciate it. And I was looking forward to it because we've chatted a couple times before, obviously with Mayan a few years back.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then we chatted about Omega the last time. And now we get to chat about something super cool, which makes me feel old, is your 20th anniversary.
Yeah, when you call it your 20 years anniversary, people think, I got that question a lot, but then how old are you?
Yeah.
And then you have to say, honestly, your true age.
Well, what, not a day past 30. You were just lucky, right?
Yeah, still 29.
Hey, still 29, baby. Now, that's kind of an interesting thing because, I mean, maybe kind of a beginning question is, when you guys were doing your thing in the very beginning, did you think you would be at it for 20 years?
I wasn't looking that far ahead, I must say. I could definitely hope that we would be, but I was not thinking about it. Because for me, it's always like maximum 2-3 years looking ahead, because then you have the album release, then you have basically an idea what you're going to do, and then what's after, no idea. But of course, you build something on a basis of like that there is a future. So you're not only short term thinking like, okay, we do this and it's good for now, and only for now. You always think like, also maybe it's also good to do this because then in 10 years we can have the full fruition of what we are doing now. But I couldn't imagine or think like 20 years later we would be where we are now. That is of course the best scenario. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that takes me to a couple of the early years collection that is being released via Nuclear Blast. I mean, you guys had some really great opportunities early on. The one from 2004, I imagine, was a great springboard. Is that one of those moments? Like, did you guys plan for that? Or was it something that just came across and you thought, this could be good?
Yeah, it's always, our career has been marked by taking opportunities when they come. So, for example, when we signed with our first record company, Transmission, that was the best we could do at that moment because nobody else believed in us like they did. And they were going 100% for it. But at a certain point, they got bankrupt, and we were in the middle of really the worst moment possible. We had a DVD that had to be released. It never happened at that point. We had an album coming up. We had written all the songs, but we had the studio booked, but the record company went bankrupt, so we had no way to finance it.
Is it because of you guys? Really... Did they go bankrupt because of you guys, Mark?
To be honest, it was us. Yeah, we were really these big spenders back in the days.
Yeah.
Only Jack Daniels.
Yeah, exactly.
We spent everything on Jack Daniels. So yeah, it was our fault. But yeah, then we bite our own tail because yeah, then we had no record company, and we didn't want to sign too quickly with another one. So we basically for me it was my dream to sign with Nuclear Blast. But that was the only label that didn't want us at that time. Okay. So we were negotiating with several labels, and Central Media, they almost got our signature. But then at that point, I decided to send 2 songs to Nuclear Blast, because by then they were finished, they were mixed, mastered. I thought, let's give it a shot, a last shot to Nuclear Blast.
Yeah.
Right away, I got a phone call. Hey, we want to talk. I said yes, but now the signature is almost on the Central Media contract, and they literally said, "Don't sign it. Come here, and we will sign you. We will make you a better offer."
Wow.
We the next day we went in the car. We went there. They basically right away started negotiating. They did us indeed a better deal, far better deal. We sent it to the lawyer. They checked it, and in 1 week, deal was done.
Wow.
While with Central Media, it was already months and months negotiating about details. Nuclear Blast said, "No, we want you guys badly. We just do everything better than the old deal," and we signed with them.
There we go.
I still felt a bit sorry for Central Media because they were really the best option. up till Nuclear Blast, because yeah, it was my childhood wish that to sign with Nuclear Blast. So yeah, I had bad luck with that.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, that was your goal, and it happened. I'm curious, what were the two songs?
One was Menace of Vanity, and the other song, I don't remember which one it was. But one of them was Menace of Vanity.
Okay. All right. Well, that's freaking cool. And you've been with them since then, so it's obviously a good relationship, good partnership. Yeah,
they really, with Nuclear Blast, we went to the next level, and it was exactly the label that we needed to be with, because everything that they promised, they kept, and together we slowly built the next steps for EPICA. Yeah, so I must say it was a dream come true, and it also seemed to work out the way I was hoping for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, something you mentioned earlier on is thinking, 2 to 3 years at a time, but at the same time thinking further ahead. So that would have been a really, really big step. Did they help at all with that kind of level of planning? Like, okay, this is where you guys are now. This is where we can see you going?
In the beginning, yes. And then at a certain point, we started working with a guy called Daniel Reagan. He's not a typical manager, but like a guy, one of the team, so one of us.
Yeah.
We were never looking for a manager who's bossing us around, telling us what to do, because we cannot stand that. Simply, we cannot stand that. But we needed at a certain point somebody to help us, because it became too much work.
Yeah.
And this guy was the perfect guy, and also he had some knowledge in about figures and statistics that we were lacking. So he did dive deep into all these numbers, and he got some really interesting facts to the surface. And then we knew also what to do for the future, because he said this and this will work well for you. And he was right with that. So he was really the missing link. Mm-hmm. And with this guy on board, together with Nuclear Blast, we could keep developing and keep doing the next steps at a certain point where we felt like we were at the top. So then he opened up some new windows, and we kept developing after that. Yeah.
Yeah, which actually brings me to I hit up my socials and asked the fans, anyone who is willing to respond. I'm going to be chatting with Mark. Does anybody have any questions? And this one wasn't really a question, but it's one that I felt, and we've kind of touched on it a couple of times, Mark, is the constant improvement over the years, just all around. Not to say that your early years, you guys weren't like amazing musicians, but it's gotten tighter. The music has gotten.
Yeah, but with all that Jack Daniels.
And all that Jack Daniels, So I guess my question, because they said, I love how they've improved over the years. Okay, well, not really a question, but I guess the question is, and I think you maybe answered it, but how did you guys do that? Did you sit down and say, okay, the drum tone, the guitar tone, the songs, the tempos, or the tours, like, how did all that come together that each album you guys get better, more polished across?
Yeah, I think the idea behind that is we are never satisfied. So we are also keeping each other on top of our games. So when we are working on a new album, only when everybody's happy, it's good enough. Mm-hmm. So when we have like a song and we're working on it, and two guys say it's not good enough yet, and we keep working until everybody says, okay, now it's really the way it has to be. And I think that drive is what sometimes I miss in some bands that are already around for many years.
Yeah,
they're like, okay, let's make an album, and just because we have to make an album, that vibe doesn't exist in EPICA.
Yeah.
And if I would notice that such a vibe would arise, I would be out of there, because I cannot stand when people take things for granted and don't give 100% of themselves. And of course, during the 20 years, there's always a moment that one guy can be a little bit less inspiration, having less inspiration. Mm-hmm. It's not always 100% in everybody, but then we always help the person who is at that point lacking inspiration, and trying to integrate him and still make him happy. But we always found a way, and we always make it happen. And the underlying vibe is always to get the best out of each other, and that's always been there and still is there, and it doesn't decline, even it seems to increase.
Yeah.
So that motivation to keep each other on top of their game, it's increasing even. We're never happy until it's finally good.
You're never happy until you can't be made happy enough, or whatever the expression is, right?
No, and that's why also sometimes it's not necessarily always a fun process, because it is in general, it's really cool, but sometimes when it's not good enough yet and people keep saying, damn, it's not good enough yet, it's not fun at that point, because you think like, come on, I gave my best. It's no, you can do better.
Then you pull a James Hetfield and you slam the studio door.
And nowadays nobody slams studio doors anymore, but there was some in the Jack Daniels style.
The Jack Daniels days.
Now people think that I'm endorsing Jack Daniels, while it's completely not the case. Actually, we were in the past endorsed by the other Jägermeister. So
that's cool.
But even that one, we are not endorsed by anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, slam doors. Back in the days, it did happen sometimes. But nowadays, we're older, wiser.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, still motivated, 100%.
Yeah. Well, you bring up something that it's like you guys are humans. You're doing a job like anybody else. There's going to be days where you don't want to show up to work, and you've got to motivate yourself. You've got to get there into the studio to lay down the tracks and live do the show, and you guys have been together so long, you know each other, you know the team, you know the dynamic, you probably even know without even asking, like, okay, something's up, what's up?
Yeah, that's for sure. When there's something wrong with somebody, you know it right away. Mm-hmm. But also, that's also a thing in the band. We always talk. So when there is an issue or we feel like there's something wrong with somebody, that person always has a way to express the feelings and talk about it. And of course, with some persons you can talk better than with others in the band. And that's for everybody. So everybody has their person that they love to talk the best to, and then sometimes then when somebody has an issue, then go to talk with that bandmate, and you hope you help each other like that. And that's a thing also. What I also noticed in some bands, when they had some issues that they don't talk about it, that issue becomes bigger and bigger, and then at a certain point people don't even want to be in the same tour bus anymore. That problem we never had, fortunately.
I hate the way you tie your shoes, man. Could you tie your shoes differently? Yeah.
Yeah, and then even they can get pissed about that. But also easy things like the air conditioning. Some people like it cold, some people like it hot. When with people that talk with each other, you always find a balance. But if you don't talk, then people get even pissed about an air conditioning temperature.
Mm-hmm. Well, balance, like Mr. Miyagi said, is the key.
It's true. I can totally agree with that.
Yeah, you got to have the yin and the yang, baby.
Yep.
One of the other cues that came up, and I don't know how this person knows this, but they said, quote unquote, what is the reason that Mark hasn't played guitar on the recent albums? From what I understand, Isaac played all of the guitar in the studio for the last 2 albums.
True, but actually that's already for many years, so even more albums. There's many reasons for that. First of all, Isaac is faster, so it would take me 3 times longer to record than Isaac does. So I would be spending time that can be more used usefully. Usually the guitars are recorded in the time that I'm working on the lyrics. So if I would have to sit there being focused on the guitars, and then in the spare 3 hours in the evening working on the lyrics, then either one of them would be done 100%. So I prefer it to be done 100% and focus fully on the lyrics at that point, rather than everything 80%. And I know that there's many bands out there where also one guitar player plays all the stuff.
Yeah.
But many bands like to act like to the outside, like they're both doing that.
Yeah.
But the truth is often that one guy, because nobody plays as tight on his own parts than himself.
Yeah.
And some music is also good to have two different styles of guitar players to give it a more spacey sound.
Mm-hmm.
But our music is not like that. You can better have very tight guitar parts played on top of each other.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Dream Theater, you have Petrucci. He's the only guitar player, so he plays also very tight on himself.
Yeah.
And that works very well for that music. And in our music, it's the same. You can best have it very tight and very good like that.
Yeah.
Live is another story. Our sound engineer, he always says, live, it would not work to have it like that. So in live, he actually enjoys to have two different styles of guitar playing and bringing that together live. So live and studio are two different situations. But I must say I love it this way. I love to write songs on the guitar, but then I'm really happy that Issac takes that part of the job on his shoulders. And he's also sometimes swearing like, God damn it, I have to do it again, all the studio work. It's not the most fun thing to do.
Slip in some Jack Daniels and everything's okay.
Yeah, but I always say, Issac, thank you so much for doing it. And even though it's not the most fun part to do, maybe some guitar players love the studio job actually, but Issac and I, we are both guys, the studio job is not our favorite time of the year.
Yeah, it's got to get done, and I guess there's some fun to it, but after a while it's like, okay, let's do it again because I went out of tune, and you know.
Yeah, the thing is also the writing process is really cool, and at a certain point everything is decided, so then it's just a matter of recording it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the least fun part, at least for me, at least also for Issac. I think Ian, the drummer, he also really enjoys the recordings. Mm-hmm. He's having a really good time with that, but so it depends on the musician.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I could have responded myself and said the same reason that all of Metallica's guitars are recorded by James Hetfield. Kurt can do it just fine, but James is better at it. You know. Yeah,
and I always say Issac is better at it, so please, Issac, let him do it.
Yeah.
And if he said, I really don't want to do it, I would do it myself as well, my parts.
Yeah.
I would never do all the parts. That I would never write any single word of lyrics, but.
I was even chatting with, I think it was Architects, and I found out that one guitar player does everything. He records the bass, everything. And so,
even that happens, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's like, well, why?
But Rob is playing his own bass parts.
Okay.
He's also a true bass player. He's born to be a bass player. There's nobody who can do a better job than himself.
Yeah.
So it would be really awkward. But Issac, in the past, for other bands, did also play bass.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say that. But
I don't know.
He once played all the guitars and the bass of another band.
Yeah, it's funny. It gets complicated because you've got the live where everybody sees you, so they get one picture in their mind. And then the studio, I mean, you might even be using different equipment. You might, there's all kinds of things that could be happening and going on to make the record work.
Yeah.
And so, cool. 20th anniversary show is coming up. I've got my ticket. I'm super excited. It's with Sahara Desert. I've got some information up here right now. Talk to us about this. Talk to us about this 20th anniversary show. What should we expect?
Yeah, the 013 is a venue where we also played our very first show. That was we were supporting Anathema. So it was our very first show. We had, I already had some experience with playing in After Forever. Two guys had some experience with playing in Cassiopeia. That was also a local symphonic metal band from the Netherlands. But and Yves had some experience with Axamenta, his band that he was in, but as a guitar player, not as a bass player. So for many guys, it was like, first time on stage, sometimes even ever, like for Simone. She had some experience as a choir singer, but not really like fronting a band. So very first show in the 013, already in a big hall. Yeah, you can imagine how nervous some of us were.
Yeah.
But it was a very cool show, and the Anathema guys, they came to the backstage after the show, and they told us how much they liked our show. So that was really very good for our self-esteem. And that very first show, we always remembered it and how special it was. So now, after 20 years, we want to have this link to the very first show. Mm-hmm. So we play, as Sahara does, being our own support act. And there will be a lot of links to that very first show. So I cannot say too much what exactly we were going to do, but it's going to have the link with the supporting Anathema show.
Right. Okay. Now, something you mentioned actually was that Simone came in fresh. She had no experience fronting a band.
Yeah.
Something I noticed going back down memory lane when the label started releasing, the early years collection, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen this stuff in years. So cool to look back. One of the first things I noticed was, even though Simone was like super young and, as you just said, had no experience fronting a band,
yeah,
she looks natural doing it. I mean,
yeah. Yes, she does.
you could have fooled me. She's good.
Yeah, already the first time when she sang to me, she was still at that time 16, and
wow.
I knew already. I could hear she has it. She has all she needs. She was just lacking the technique in the beginning when she was just 16. And when we were looking for a singer for EPICA, we first did a lot of auditions for other singers. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain point, we were like, yeah, we can keep on looking forever. But even though she's very young, she's the one.
Yeah. So after
and we
Forever.
Just knew it.
Get it? So after
Yeah,
Forever.
well, I was at the beginning. I was still in After Forever, and then when I was starting with EPICA, she was the one. It was just meant to be.
Yeah.
And she's a natural talent with that. She's born to be on stage. Mm-hmm. She has a great voice. She has a great charisma. So we couldn't wish for any better singer than her.
No. It almost sounds like a Beatles story. Like you guys just happened to cross paths at the right time, meet the right people. Would you say this? Would you say, could you take your path and your journey? Not to say that you should, but could you write like an ebook and say, okay, you want to start a band and you want to take over the world. This is how you do it, or would you say that it's just like, we were at the right place at the right time, and we said yes?
Yeah, I always say with an example because I've thought about it a lot about how to make a band successful, but it depends first of all of the era where the band operates in. For example, now if you start a new band, there was a whole different set of rules, so to say, to make the band bigger than back in the days. Because when I, for example, started with After Forever, the internet was just coming up. It was 1996. My father, he owned a company, and he had one of the first computers with internet. And then at a certain point, there were the first bands with websites. So already we made a website with After Forever. And then I collected all the email addresses from other bands' guest books, and I wrote a big mass email spam. The spam word didn't exist by then yet. I wrote a big spam email and informing the people about After Forever, and I got only reactions back like, thank you for letting us know, and it's a great band.
Yeah.
Try that now, they will kill you.
Oh, I know. Well, now everybody's got a QR code. Just scan our QR code.
Yeah.
Different world now. Did you
different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you now would send a mass email, people, they don't want to listen to your band. Back then, they were listening to your band because you did so.
Yeah.
But in every time era, you have to be inventive and come up with something new. And I have no idea what the bands of nowadays have to come up with, because I'm not in that situation to think about that. But I'm sure that there are many bands that are very inventive as well, and coming up with the right things to do to make themselves visible, and that people start listening to them.
Yeah. Not an uncommon thing to say. I heard an interview with Chad Kroger from Nickelback recently, and somebody said, "Would you start Nickelback today?" And he said, "God, no. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin today." He's like, "Back then, I knew how to. There was a CD in a package, and it was on a store shelf. I got that model. Like, if I had to start today, I wouldn't even know where to go." So
yeah, for me too. Now to start with a band like EPICA would not work. So we were at the right place at the right moment, indeed, and that's why we're still around. And that because also Iron Maiden, if they would start now, Iron Maiden, that would never become as big as they are now.
Yeah.
It's simply impossible. You need to have the right timing to come up with the certain. At that point, also there was this wave of the symphonic bands fronted by a woman. Mm-hmm. And if you do that now, it's like you're too late.
Yeah.
So if you now start a band like Iron Maiden, you're too late. If you now start a band like name another band like Saxon, you're simply too late.
Yeah.
And of course you have these revivals, and then it works also sometimes well to go back to the roots. But it's never the same anymore as when these bands were for the first time emerging with that new wave of British heavy metal. That feeling will never come back. And the same as for us with the symphonic metal. There was this wave of symphonic metal, especially from the Netherlands and also Norway, and that will never come back the same way.
Right. But you know what will come back? Because I've got tour information, Mark. We've got just enough time to chat about. Looks like you're coming to North America, and you've got a spot in Montreal.
Yes.
So I'm a little upset you're not coming over here to Edmonton, but I guess I could pop over for a poutine. That'll work.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the Latin American tour, the Apocalypse tour.
There's a lot of touring coming up.
There sure is. Does it feel good to be back on the road?
Oh yes, this summer was really one of the best summers ever, I must say. So we first of all that there was 2 years missing, and then one summer ago there was some festivals happening, but they were with some weird vibes. So sometimes people were seated, or they were not allowed to do this or not allowed to do that. But this was the first normal summer again, where everything felt the way it was before, but then even better. Because you were like if you were imprisoned for 2 years and then suddenly you're free, everything tastes better probably, because I've never been 2 years in prison, but I can imagine. Everything tastes better, everything feels better, the air smells better. And that was for us too, like to be on stage again. It was like being reborn. So it was one of the best summers ever, and now we can do some proper touring again. And of course, fingers crossed that things keep going well, because in this weird world, I don't count on anything anymore. But as long as it keeps going well, I'm enjoying the ride.
Good. Very good. All right. Well, Mark, that concludes my questions and our time. So unless there's anything else you wanted to throw out there, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to chat with me.
Thank you, too.
Absolutely. And you have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm sure you're packed with interviews.
You were the last one, actually.
Okay. So you're gonna play.
So now it's my dinner is gonna be served.
This happens every time. I'm the last guy, and you got a pizza in the end. And this happens every time.
I don't know why they picked you last. Last but not least.
Well, best for last, baby.
Yes, that's that's the best way to describe it.
Awesome.
So I'm pretty hungry, I must say. Then I could already at a certain point you start smelling it already, and then that's gonna be good.
I bet. All right, well, you have a beautiful rest of your night and enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, and the rest of my night will look like studying some stuff for the upcoming shows, giving water to the plants.
Yes.
But that's also become a daily routine when I'm home in the summer.
Yeah.
Give all the plants water. It gives some peace of mind.
Mm. Yeah.
And
you guys have a vineyard or something, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. And fruit trees and mango trees. So there's olive trees. There's many kind of trees, many crops. We have our own water system here. So the only thing is to make it work. To give some love to the plants, and then they grow and they give great fruit.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Beautiful.
And you, like we said before, in this world, you never know what's going to happen. If these gas prices, they are insane here at the moment, at least in Netherlands and the UK.
Yeah.
The electricity bills, they are rising like crazy.
Yeah.
So, you can better have some things under control. So we have now, since this year, sun panels. So at least we are not that affected by these electricity prices. So I'm really happy that at the right moment they arrived and they're working well. And the only thing that can happen is that you get struck by the lightning.
This is true. This is very
which
true.
happened yesterday.
You got struck by lightning yesterday.
Not personally, but my house.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I was at the same position here in my studio, and I was just starting to rehearsing, and it was really like light. I saw some of these, like I don't know how you call them in English, but like this, not flames, but like of electricity coming through the sparks, yes, and this boom. And luckily, I had already before unplugged the TVs, so they are still working. But unfortunately, one electricity machine died. But only one. So hopefully, with the guarantee, it gets repaired. But I have no idea if it's fixable.
Yeah. Well, the good news is it never strikes twice in the same place, or so they say.
Hopefully that's true, because there was also a guy in a few villages further. He went out to get his sheep in, and he got struck himself. He's dead.
Wow.
It was not the same day, but one of these days as well. So there's some pretty heavy lightning going on here.
Yeah, sure is. You could say it's a shocking bit of thing.
Shocking thing.
Yeah, it's a shocking thing.
But yeah, poor guy. But I'm always a little bit scared with lightning since I was a kid, because then once there was also a really big lightning around the house that light up the whole room. I fell on the floor, and then also a fireball went through the window of our neighbors. What? So really through the window, it was completely destroyed. A fireball, and ever since I'm a little bit scared of thunder and lightning.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I've never experienced anything like that.
No, I think once it happens to you, then you're a little bit careful. It's not that I'm shitting my pants here.
Yeah.
But funny enough, it's always me when I'm somewhere, then the lightning hits exactly where I am. They're trying to kill me.
I know. Could be your day any day.
The good thing is that the whole system of making the lightning go through the floor is working well, because I didn't notice anything. Just one thing is broken, but that's okay. And if you say if it's true what you say, that it never strikes twice, then I've had my part now here.
Yeah. Now you just got to write a song or two about that experience.
Right and Lightning.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's done that one before. That's a really good name.
Oh, shit, it exists already.
Oh, crap. Back to the drawing board.
Shit. It would have been too good to be true, yeah.
I know. I mean, you got a guitar over there. You could just start writing it, and the next thing you know...
Yeah, it's always within reach.
Well, you got two within reach. Look at that.
Yeah, there's even the one that I used on stage many times, but...
Okay.
The green one, but nowadays I use it in my studio. It's retired.
Why is that?
Because I have two guitars with me on the road, and I got a new one, a red one. I have now the red one and the blue one on the road. Yeah. And the green one, enjoys his retirement, serving me as recording the demos. Cool. He doesn't get lazy. He still has to work, but in a more easygoing environment.
For sure. Cool. All right, Mark. Well, thanks again, and you enjoy your beautiful dinner, babes.
Thank you. Had a good time with you.
You too. Ciao.
Cheers. Ciao.